we are joined by the top boss, Mr. Chandrasekhar K. So let's bring him on board. And firstly, thank you so much, sir, for joining in with us on ET Now. It's a pleasure having you on the show. And firstly, obviously, talk to us about how have the demand trends been for the company in this quarter versus last year. What is the revenue growth that we can expect also going forward? We've seen the Omicron variant also actually impacting the company. So, what can we expect in terms of the performance going forward, and what should we be seeing from Page?
Thank you for having Page on the show. The demand has been pretty robust. As you can see from the numbers, we have grown about 28% year on year in Q3 and about 42% for the 9 months. And we have recorded some of the best quarters in our history. In fact, if this Q3 11,898 million is the best top line in the history of Page Industries for any quarter, and also the bottom line of about 1745 million rupees is the best bottom line for any quarter in history. And previously, the Q2 was the best, and so this Q3 surpasses that. So if I take you back to the past 5 quarters, Q1, we had the pandemic and lockdown and so on. So barring Q1, all the preceding 4 quarters have been the best in history. Last year, Q3 was the best in history till then, and Q4 was the second best in history, and only to be surpassed by this year Q2 and once again by Q3. So we have been having a good, robust demand, and if we observe the numbers from the rest of the industry as well, the economy players and so on, they have also done well. So the demand is picking up and has been very good even during the 2 pandemic years. Whenever there is not a lockdown, we have done very well because of availability, being in the market, supporting our partners and so on.
Right, Mr. Chandrasekhar. Good afternoon. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation. It's pretty heartening to know that you're seeing actually recovery in demand. But the company derives about 50% of its revenues from tier 2, 3 and below cities. Could you tell us how has the demand been on that particular front? Also, some of the companies have reported a slowdown in demand from the rural areas. So are you witnessing something similar to that effect?
A good question. We haven't seen any slowdown in any of the geographies. If we go back 3 or 4 years, we were predominantly present in tier 1 and metros. But since then, from roughly 60,000 MBOs, we have grown to 105,000 as of end of Q3. So we have been growing in tier 3, tier 4 markets in terms of more retail footprint. So we have seen that the demand has been fairly uniform across all cities. During lockdown, yes, the metros will be most affected, but most of them are back to normal business, and the demand is actually far exceeding the supplies that we have, and that is a good problem to have on our hands.
Right, sir. But one of the things that has impacted most companies is inflation that we're seeing coming in the raw material costs. Now, when you overall look at the raw material cost, that is cotton, accounts to a huge amount, a huge chunk of your raw material pricing for innerwear companies. So, what is your outlook on the raw material pricing going forward? What is the cost looking like currently as well? And, could this actually impact the margins in the near term?
Raw material prices have been, it's a big challenge for us, not only for us, but the whole industry as well. So raw material prices have strengthened by almost 17 to 20% in the calendar year 2021. And even before it started moving up, it has been a bit volatile. We cannot prevent it. The best way we strategize is to we increase our inventory of raw material. We have long-term partnerships with many of our vendors. We pay them advance and we finance them pretty well. So we are good paymasters now than we were, say, 2 years back. So these strategic partnerships are always there. But again, price is a function of the market. So the raw material prices have gone up. We have had to increase prices by about 5% in Q1 this year. We have again increased by close to 8% at the end of Q3. So we always try to maintain an EBITDA margin of about 20%. So going forward, we have to wait and watch how the raw material prices behave. Is it bottomed out in terms of the increase, or is there something more to come? We of course have to then calibrate our selling price.
Lastly, Mr. Chandrasekhar, let me ask you this question on the future plan for Page Industry. What are your plans to sustain the dominance actually going ahead? Do you think that Page's growth will be a function of reach, that is their distribution and availability, or will the future actually be a function of premiumization for your company?
There is no one strategy that has brought us this far in the industry. And similarly, going forward, we have multiple strategies. Clearly, most of them you mentioned. One is the distribution, which means the number of distributors across the country and the channel presence of close to, if you add up the MBOs and the the multi-brand outlets, the exclusive business outlets, and the large format stores, we will be more than 1 lakh and 10 lakh and 15,000 in terms of retail footprint. So the distribution will clearly grow because we believe, based on the available information, that we are only present in about 1/5 of the geography of India. So and we have only a 12% penetration. Other people call it market share in the premium segment. So the headroom is so high that we will have to expand capacities. We will have to expand distribution. We have to improve on availability. That is one aspect we are working on, because in the scenario, even in these last 2 years, when the demand is far outstripping the supply, we want to debottleneck the supply side. Right from the vendors to the outsourcing to the procurement plan to even for example the warehousing. We are making innovations, investing in technology to make sure that things are accurate and faster. So we'll have to do all of these things together, because the demand is there for us to capture.
All right, Mr. Chandrasekhar, we leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, giving us a take about Page Industries, the quarter gone by, as well as the way ahead. That was Mr. Chandrasekhar K, who's CFO at Page Industries.